Welcome to Math Tips from Matthys Tutors. Subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this.
So I'm going to walk you through the 2021 STAAR test for Algebra 1. And this is a test that is exclusive to the state of Texas to measure academic competency for Algebra 1 students. It comes with some formula reference manuals that some students find useful. I typically don't use them because I believe that students should at least have a pretty fair grasp of the content that they should be getting ready for. But you can use them, it's available, so any student that needs it, you can always just rip that page off and have it to the side as you use it. And so this is Algebra 1, and we're going to get started with the questions in this test. What I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to show you the fastest way to answer the type of questions that are presented on this test. So here it says, which expression is equivalent to square root of 184? So I like to use the prime factor. I like to use the prime factor tree method whenever I'm dealing with radicals. So I have 184, and then I divide by 2, I get 92. I divide by 2, and I get 46. 46 isn't a prime, is a prime number. Well, 46 is an even number, so it's not prime. The only prime number we have that is even is the number 2. And also 46 is not a perfect square. So what we're going to do here is we're going to now rewrite 184 as 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 46. And so because I have 2 multiplied by 2, I have a perfect square here. And so therefore, the square root of 184 is the same as the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 46, which is going to give me 2 and then square root of 46. And so our answer is B here. The next question here is, the graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which function is best represented by the graph? Whenever you have a straight line graph, you always have to think about y equal to mx plus b. And so you need to pay attention to what m is and what b is as well. So m is your slope, m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept, which is exactly where the line touches or crosses the y-axis, which is going to be 4. So and then we need to find our slope. One thing you can do here, which is very easy you can save you a lot of time on the test. So your y-intercept is 4. So what I can do here is I can actually try to get down to the answers that have a y-intercept of 4. So I can see here, this has 4 right here. So this is not good because it's 4x. It has to be a y-intercept. So this is no good. This is no good. And now the next thing we're going to do here is we'll look at the slope. It looks like a negative slope because it's sloping downwards. So it's going to be a negative slope. If you look at this, you have a positive slope, and over here you have a negative slope, and that is going to give you J as your answer. Now, if you want to use the other method to make sure that your slope is right, we can always say your slope is rise over run. So here's what that means. So I'm going down from 4 to 0 is going to be, I'm going in the negative y direction, so negative 4, and then I get to 0 and I'm going 6 units in the right direction, for the x-axis. So that's going to be positive 6. This is going to be negative 2 over 3 when you reduce the fraction. So you can see here that we can get it the fast way, or you can do the math and you will always end up with the same answer. One thing about the STAAR test, they tend to give you quite a bit of time to do the questions. So if you know the steps, feel free to do it. But I'm always a believer of making sure you spend as little time as possible answering any question. So let's look at number 3. The values in the table represent a linear relationship between x and y. What is the rate of change of y with respect to x? What is the rate of change of y with respect to x? So what we're going to do here, rate of change is also known as your slope. So rate of change, so it's going to be change in y. We have a change in y divided by your change in x. So because it's linear, one of the benefits of dealing with slope and linear relationships is that the slope is the same everywhere on the graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick any of the 2 points that are the easiest for me to work with. So I'm going to just go with this point here and this point here. So let's go with y. Change in y, we can also say this is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be negative 72 minus negative 92 divided by negative 6.5 minus negative 8.5. So this is going to give me negative 72, this is going to become a plus right here. So you subtract the numbers and you keep the sign of the bigger number. So this is going to be 20 divided by, this is also going to be negative 6.5 plus 8.5. This is going to be 2. So this is going to give us 10 as the answer. Okay, number 4. Given that g of x is equal to x squared minus 6x minus 16, which statement is true? So the easiest way to do it, if I look at the answer choices here, I can see that it's looking for the zeros and it's looking for the factors. So let's go ahead and just factor these. Let's factor this. Let's start with the expression and we go with x squared minus 6x minus 16. And what we typically do is we look for the factors of negative 16 that have a sum of negative 6. So I'm going to look for 2 factors. I can see here, based on what I'm seeing in the answers, I'm going to go with 8 and 2. And because my 6 is negative, I'm going to end up with negative 8. So this is going to be x minus 8 and then x plus 2. So those are the factors of this expression here. So x minus 8 and x plus 2. So I can see here that this is the only one that has x minus 8 and x plus 2. So the other way to get these other answers is to equate each of these expressions to 0. So x minus 8 equal to 0. So x equal to 8. X plus 2 equal to 0. X equal to negative 2. So that's why you have those answers. The next question here is, which ordered pair is in the solution set of 8x plus 16y greater than 32? Best thing to do here is to go ahead and just divide everything by 8. So we're going to have x plus 2y greater than 4. So another thing to do is to write this in the form, we're going to always like to start off with y equal to mx plus b. And although this is an inequality, it's always good to start with the equation form. So what we're going to do here is rewrite this in that form. So we have 2y equal to negative x plus 4. And then y is equal to negative x over 2 or negative 1/2 x plus 2. So that means that my y-intercept is 2 and my slope is negative 1 over 2. That's my slope, which means that I'm going to have negative 1 over 2 or 1 over negative 2. So that means if I go up 1, I go left 2, something like that, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. So something that looks like this, and because it's greater than, you are going to have broken lines. It's not going to be a straight line because it's not equal to. And the region that satisfies that is going to be the region above the line. So let's use a different color here just to indicate that region up here. So now the question is asking which ordered pair is a solution, which other pair is in the solution set. So it's pretty much asking you which of these points is above the line. So let's see, we have 4, 0, that's right on the line. We have 0, 2, that's right on the line. And you have to pay attention to the fact that if it's on the line, it will not work because this is a greater than, it's not a greater than equal to. So just be watchful of that. So we have -1, 1, that's not going to work. What about -3, 5? That is right about here. So this is going to be the point that is in the solution set. Number 6. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point -26 and -26, -11, and 39, 34? So we need to first find the slope. The slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2, let's go with 34 minus -11 divided by x2, 39 minus -26. So this is going to be 45. So this is 34 plus 11 over 39 plus 26, which is 45 over 65. And that's going to give us 9 over 13. So our slope is positive 9 over 13. So we want to write this in slope-intercept form. So we have y2 minus y1. Actually, what we should be looking for, slope-intercept form, is going to be in the form y equal to mx plus b. So how do we write this function in that form? Let's go with starting with y minus y1 equal to m and then x minus x1. So we can choose any one of them. I'll select -26, -11 as I'm going to select that as the point I use. So y minus -11 equal to 9 over 13, and then we have x minus -26. So this is going to give me, I'm going to get some space here. This is going to give me y plus 11 equal to 9 over 13 x, and then we have, this is going to become a plus 9 over 13x plus 18. So y is equal to 9 over 13x plus 7 because you subtract 11 from both sides. So 9 over 13x plus 7, and that's going to be that answer. Number 7, it says two characteristics of quadratic function p are given. The axis of symmetry of the graph is p is x equal to -3. So axis of symmetry is always the point where the graph changes direction. So if it's going up, at that point it starts to come down. If it's coming down, at that point it starts to go up. Function p has exactly 1, 0, which means that it only crosses it touches the x-axis at only one point. So what I'm going to look for here is, I'm going to look for the vertex of the quadratic function at x equal to -3. So let's see the vertex. Okay. The vertex at x equal to -3. So we're going to cross this out because here the vertex is at x equal to 3. Cross this out here. And then what do we say? It says it has exactly 1, 0. So that means that at the point where x equal to -3, the graph is going to touch it and then bounce off that point. So if you look here, let's look at these two choices. We have x equal to -3 here. So we can see our vertex here, but we have 1, 0 here, another 0 here. So this is no good. And this becomes your answer. If you look at it here at x equal to -3, we can see that it bounces off at that point. So that's what we're looking for. Number 8. Which expression is equivalent to x to the power of 9, y, and then z to the power of 4, and then everything to the power of 5? Now let's look at the rule that we're going to be applying here. The rule we're going to be applying here is the exponent rule that says ab to the power of m is equal to a to the power of m multiplied by b to the power of m. So anytime you have an expression in parentheses and an exponent outside the parentheses, what you're going to do is each of those terms in the parentheses is going to have the exponent outside applied to it. So what does that mean for us here? It's going to be x to the power of 9 to the power of 5 multiplied by y to the power of 1 to the power of 5 multiplied by z to the power of 4 to the power of 5. So this is going to be x to the power of 45, y to the power of 5, and z to the power of 20. So x to the power of 5, y 45, 5, 20. So this is going to be our answer. So the graph of a linear function g passes through the points -7, -4, and 7, 6 as shown below. What are the slope and y-intercept of g? So let's look for the slope. Slope is easy to find. So slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be 6 minus -4 divided by 7 minus -7. So this is going to be 6 plus 4 over 7 plus 7. This is 10 over 14. And if you reduce this, you're going to get 5 over 7. So we can see here that our y-intercept is 1. Y-intercept is 1, and our slope is 5 over 7. That's our answer right there. Number 10, what is the solution to 4 parentheses y minus 3 plus 19 equal to 8 parentheses 2y plus 3 plus 7? So the best way to go about this is to actually apply PEMDAS. PEMDAS is always a good guiding principle whenever you're dealing with expressions or equations or any kind of a problem that has multiple operations. So we're going to first distribute the 4 into y minus 3. So that's going to give us 4y minus 12 plus 19 equal to, then we distribute 8 into 2y plus 3, 16y plus 24 plus 7. So now we're going to simplify on both sides. So we have 4y minus 12 plus 19, that's plus 7, equal to 16y, and then we have plus 31. So what we're going to do now is we're going to group common terms together. What I would like to do is I'm going to move the y to the right hand side. So I subtract 4y here, subtract 4y. So I have 7 equal to 12y plus 31. And then I'm going to move my 31 over to the left hand side. Now I have 12y equal to -24, and we divide both sides by 12, and then we have y equal to -2. And that's going to be our answer right there. Number 11, it says the graph shows the number of game consoles sold in millions since 2009. So what we can see here is from 0, we start off at 25.5. So I'm going to start with g of x is 25.5. But what you're seeing here is that there's a reduction year over year. So let's see from 25.5 to 15.3. So let's do a multiplication, or actually let's do a division from 15.3 to 25.5. So 15.3 divided by 25.5. If you go through this, you'll find that this is 0.6. And then for the second year, let's see what the relationship here is. So 9.18 divided by 15.3 rather, divided by 15, divide that by 15.3, and you're going to get 0.6. So you can see here that we have, this is more like, this is the question on growth and decay. So we have here a decay, and it's the rate is going to be 0.6, and then this is to the power of x. So we're looking for, we start off with 25.5, and we expect the change to be 0.6, and x is going to represent the number of years since 2009. So let's see, 25.5, 0.6 to the power of x right there. Number 12, a ball is placed in a machine that throws the ball up in the air. The table represents some points on the graph of a function that models the ball's distance from the ground with respect to the time the ball had been thrown. What is the range for this situation? So when we think about range, we have to factor in that the range represents the dependent variable, or the y-axis. If you were to draw this on the graph, you will see that your time since thrown from the machine will be your independent. So this is going to be your x-axis, and this is going to be your y-axis. So your range represents all the possible values of y. And so we can see here from our range, let's see, the smallest value is 0. Let's look for the largest value. Looking at this point, we can see that this is our largest value. So it's going to be anything from 0 to 7.66. All real numbers from 0 to 7.66. Which graph best represents the solution set to this system? X plus y less than 1, x minus y less than or equal to 2. So the best way for us to do this is to always write it y equal to mx plus b, and then we'll apply the inequalities as necessary. So this is, first one is going to be, let's go with x plus y less than 1. Let's subtract x from both sides. It's going to be y less than, not equal to. It's going to be y less than negative x plus 1. So that's going to be a negative slope right there. And then x minus y less than or equal to 2. Let's go ahead and subtract x from both sides. So negative y less than or equal to negative x plus 2. And we always want y to have a coefficient of 1. So we're going to multiply everything by negative 1. And we're going to end up with y is greater than or equal to x minus 2. So we have to remember that whenever you multiply or divide, when you're dealing with inequalities, if you multiply or divide on both sides by a negative number, you always have to flip the inequality to its opposite sign. So let's go ahead and start with negative x plus 1. So we start at 1, and so I'm going to eliminate a few things here. Negative x plus 1. So the negative sloping graph is the one that should be a dotted graph. So I can see here, this already eliminates this. So let's see if this is also gone. So now we need to figure out what's next. The first thing we're going to be looking at here is we have a graph with a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of negative 2. And so On that graph, we're looking for values above the line because y is greater than x minus 2. So we're looking for something above the line. And then for the sloping graph, for the negative slope graph, we're looking for values that are below the line. So you can see if I drew a graph, my own graph, let's assume I drew a graph like this, the graph what it would look like, the positive sloping graph is right about here, and our negative sloping graph is right about here. So if I was to account for these values, I would say y is greater than x minus 2. So I'm going to do this right here, right about here. And then y is less than negative x minus 1. So it's going to be right about here. So you can see where we create some kind of a cross match is going to be where our solution set is. And that also looks like the solution set represented in A. Number 14, given that p of x equal to negative 4 multiplied by x minus 15 squared plus 2, what is the value of p of 7? Okay, that simply means that we're going to replace every instance of x with 7. So p of 7 is going to be negative 4 and then 7 minus 15 squared plus 2, which is going to be negative 4 multiplied by negative 8 squared plus 2. And so this is going to be negative 4 multiplied by 64 plus 2, and this is going to be negative 254. So here, a customer paid a total of $6 for 68 copies at the print shop. Some copies were black and white, and the rest were color copies. So we have to pay attention to some detail here. Total cost is going to be $6, and total number of copies is 68. Okay, so those are the things we need to pay attention to. And for the copies, we have black and white, which is 0.08, and color is 0.15. So if we just look at this, let's say that B represents, this is black and white, this is color, okay? Let's say that B represents the number of black and white copies, and C represents the number of colored copies. So what we need to remember is that based on that, B plus C is equal to 68. And then now we need to account for the cost. So it's going to be 0.08B plus 0.15C equal to $6. So that's what we're looking for. So let's see if we have any answers that look like that. B plus C is 68, 0.08B, 0.15C is $6. So that's our answer right there. Number 16. The graph of a quadratic function is shown on the grid. Which function is best represented by this graph? So what I'm going to do here is we're going to end up looking for there are a few things we can do actually to get to the function that is represented by this graph. First of all, we can see that the graph is sloping downwards. So that means that it's going to be negative x, the quadratic term or the x squared term is going to have a negative. Okay, I see all of them have a negative. And then what we can do also is put a f of 0. That's one way. I like to always go x-intercept, y-intercept, and use that as a way to get my answer. So the y-intercept here is 8. So that means that f of 0 is equal to 8. So now when we have f of 0 equal to 8, it means that this one is going to be gone, this one is going to be gone. So the next thing we need to pay attention to is that now that we have these two right here, we also know that f of negative 4 is equal to 0 and f of 4 equal to 0. So let's go ahead and see which of them will give us that. I can see here, let's start with h, negative half and then negative 4 squared plus 8. So this is going to give me negative 1/2 multiplied by 16 plus 8, negative 8 plus 8. This is equal to 0. And you can see here that if this is going to give you 0, this will most likely give you 0. So it's going to be h for our answer. The table of values shows a linear relationship between x and y. What is the slope of the line? Okay, rise over run, or y2 minus y1. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be, we pick any set of points. So let's make this our y2, y1, x2, x1. Okay, so y2 minus y1, 1 minus 9, x2 minus x1, minus 2, minus negative 7. So negative 8 over negative 2 plus, when you have the negative outside parenthesis, negative inside parenthesis, you just change that to a plus. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5, so negative 8 over 5. Which expression is a factored form of this expression here? So I'm going to use the slide and shift. I find that to be one of the easiest methods to deal with factoring quadratic terms where the quadratic coefficient or the number in front of the x squared is not 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to multiply it by 63. So I'm going to end up with x squared minus 25x plus 126. So I'm going to go ahead and factor this. And what I can see here, the factors of 126 that add up to negative 25, just the fact that this is positive and this is negative, it tells me that both factors have to be negative. So I'm going to go with x minus 7, x minus 18. And that's because negative 7 multiplied by negative 18 is 126. And negative 7 plus negative 18 is negative 25. So now that I slid the 2 over to 63, so now that I have this, I can just divide all my constant terms by 2. And then I have x minus 7 over 2 multiplied by x minus 9. Well, we can't leave this here, so what we're going to do is we're going to move this back over here. So it's going to end up being 2x minus 7 and then x minus 9. X minus 9, 2x minus 7. So that's going to be that answer. Number 19, what is the equation in standard form of the line that passes through the point 6, negative 1 and is parallel to the line represented by 8x plus 3y equal to 15. So let's take a note of important terms here. We're looking for parallel to the line. So the first thing we're going to do in order to get the parallel, the reason why do you think you're getting the information that is parallel to the line? The only answer there is because for you to get an equation created, you need a point and a slope. So here, we can get the slope from this line. So we're going to have 3y. You always remember to always write y equal to mx plus b. That's the best way to write it, so you can extract your slope. So 3y is negative 8x plus 15. We divide everything by 3. And then we have y equal to negative 8 over 3x plus 5. Now it's saying that the question tells us here that the line is parallel to this, and when two lines are parallel, their slopes are the same value. So what we end up with is we need to go through our y minus y1 equal to mx minus x1. So we have our y1 here is negative 1, y minus negative 1. Slope is negative 8 over 3, and then we have x minus, and we have 6 right here. So let's go ahead and simplify. So we have y plus 1 equal to negative 8 over 3x plus, we multiply negative 8 over 3 and negative 6. We should get a 16 there. So we have y equal to negative 8 over 3x plus 15. So now we need to write this, look at the form that the equation comes in. So we're going to write it in that form. So we're going to multiply, actually let's go ahead and first move negative 8 over 3 to the same side as y. So we have y plus 8 over 3x equal to 15. And then we can go ahead and multiply everything by 3 to get rid of the denominator here. So we're going to end up with 3y plus 8x equal to 45. 3y plus 8x, or 8x plus 3y equal to 45. That's it right there. The graph of linear function h is shown on the grid. Given f of x equal to x and h of x is a of x, what is the value of a? So it says here the graph of linear function h. Okay, so this is the linear function h. So if we have f of x equal to x, we can look at this as our parent function. And then we want to find the value of a, so we can just simply find the slope of this line. That will give us an idea of what the value of a is. So our slope, let's say a is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is going to be 8 minus negative 4. x2 is 10 minus negative 5. So this 8 plus 4, which is 12. 10 plus 5 is 15. You reduce this, you get 4 over 5, or you could make it a decimal, 0.8. Number 21, a conservation energy tracks the sea turtle population by counting the number of nesting sites where the turtles lay their eggs. The table shows the number of nesting sites for several years since 2001. The data can be modeled using the exponential can be modeled by an exponential function. Which function best models the data? So the first thing we need to look at here is what is happening here. It is reducing. Well, we can see you have some reductions and you have some increases and all of that stuff. So the best thing here is to start with the number of years since 2001 here is going to be, the best way to go about this actually is to put some of these points in your graphing calculator. It will give you an idea of what the graph is going to look like. So if you put this in a graphing calculator, you'll see that there is, you can see there's mostly a reduction happening. So when you put this in a graphing calculator, you're going to get something that looks more like option B. So put in the graphing calculator, and I think it's one of the topics that gets covered with correlation. Correlation with when you're learning correlation, this is one of the examples that show you that. Number 22, a part of linear function g is graphed on the grid. Which inequality best describes the domain and range of the part shown? So your domain is going to go from -7. One good way to do it is to draw a line up to this right here, draw a line. So we're going to have, because you have this filled in circle, the filled in hole here, you're going to say that you have from -7 all the way to 6. So your domain is going to go from -7 all the way to 6. Your range, now you're going to put that in the y-axis, draw it all the way here, draw it all the way here, and then your range is going to go from -4 less than equal to y less than equal to 5. So that's what, yeah, your y can also be your g of x. So that's fine there as well. So this is going to be your best answer. 23. Which value of x is a solution to the equation? Okay, so what we're going to do here, let's look at this. I have 3, 30, 72. I'm just going to divide everything by 3. And so I'm going to get, so divide everything by 3. I'm going to get x squared minus 10x minus 24 equal to 0. So let's factor this. I'm going to most likely say that I have, this is -10, -24. So there's going to be you're going to have two factors. One of them is negative, one of them is positive. The one that is negative is going to be the larger number. Like the larger factor is going to be negative. So that's going to give me 12 and 2. I can get to 10. So -12, +2. So x minus 12, x plus 2 equal to 0. So we're going to solve this. X minus 12 equal to 0, x equal to 12, x plus 2 equal to 0, x equal to -2. So which of them do we have? X equal to -2. That's it right there. Number 24. The tables of ordered pairs represent some points on the graphs of lines F and G. Which system of equations represents lines F and G? Okay, system of equations. So let's go ahead and we're going to use y equal to mx plus b in both instances. So we're going to start off by we're going to find the slope. And because they are linear, one thing to do also, if you're dealing with linear functions, let's look for the slope gives us an idea of the rate of change, right? So if you look from 2 to 4, we have a +2 here and we have a +3.5. So if I'm going back up, so I'm subtracting 2 to get to 0, then I'm also going to subtract 3.5. Yeah, we're going to subtract 3.5. So I'm going to have 0 and 3.5 here. So I'm going to see here that then I'll go ahead and find my slope. My slope here is going to be y2 minus y1. So 10.5 minus 7 divided by 4 minus 2. So this is 3.5 over 2 and this is 1.75. So for line F, we're going to have y equal to 1.75x plus 3.5. Then let's go do the same thing with G. So instead of going from, so let's look at from -3 to -2, I'm going up +1. From 4 to 0, I'm going -4. So from -2 to 0, I'm going down, I'm actually going up 2 units. And so that's +2 here. And then from 0, we're going to actually subtract 8. So you're going to end up with 0 and -8. So now we're going to come up with that equation because we need, but to do that we need to find the slope. So y2 minus y1. So I see here 0 minus 4 over -2 minus -3, which is -4 over 1. So this is -4. And then G is going to be y equal to -4x, and then the slope should be -8. So let's see. I think F is going to be the best answer. Y equal to 1.75x plus 3.5. Y equal to -4x minus 8. Okay, that's right. Number 25. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. What is the rate of change of y with respect to x? So what we're going to do here is let's just go ahead and make this simple. We're going to draw a right triangle. Let's go this way. So let's go with rise over run. So rise over run. So let's look at what's our rise. But one thing you can do to help yourself here is to look to see that this is a negative slope anyway. So our rise is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be -6. And then our run looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. +8. So this is -3 over 4. -3 over 4. Which expression is equivalent to 36x to the 4th power, y to the 5th power, divided by 3xy all squared for all values of x where expression is defined? Okay, so PEMDAS, remember I told you earlier, PEMDAS, whenever you have a bunch of different things happening with expressions or equations, you're looking for different operations that are present, you want to always start with your PEMDAS. So parentheses, we have an exponent here. So let's go with 36x to the 4th power, y to the 5th power, divided by, so this exponent of 2 is going to apply to everything. So it's going to be 9x squared y squared. And then we have a situation, so 36 divided by 9 is 4. Whenever you're dividing exponents with the same base, all you have to do is subtract the exponents. And so this is what we're going to end up with. It's going to be 4x squared y cubed. So let's see what we have. That's going to be this one right here. What is the value of the y-intercept of the graph of g of x equal to this? So what do we know about the y-intercept? At the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So we're going to look for g of 0, which is 73, 4 over 5 to the power of 0. Remember that anything to the power of 0 is 1. So this is 73 multiplied by 1, which is 73. Number 28. The graph of f of x equal to x squared is reflected over the x-axis and is stretched horizontally to create the graph of function g. Which graph would represent g? First of all, it's reflected over the x-axis, so it's going to be at the bottom here. And then it says it is stretched horizontally. What does that truly mean? If the graph is stretched horizontally, what that simply means is, look at that right here. So this is more like it's a compression over here. This is a stretch over here. It's stretched out horizontally. So the graph normally would look something like this. The graph would look something like this. And then when you reflect it, it's going to be right about here like that. And then when you stretch it horizontally, you're going to try to move it. You notice here, it is actually closer to the y-axis. So when you stretch it horizontally, you move it closer to the x-axis. So it's going to be your J right here. 29. Which expression is equivalent to 3 over 2p plus 1, 1/2 p plus 3? We can just do FOIL in here. So this is going to be 3 over 2p multiplied by 1 over 2p. And then this is the first. Then your inner is plus 1 multiplied by half p plus 3 over 2, plus 3 over 2p multiplied by 3, and then plus 1 multiplied by 3. So this is 3 over 4p squared plus 1 over 2p plus 9 over 2p plus 3. So this is 3 over 4p squared plus 10 over 2p plus 3. So 3 over 4p squared, 10 over 2p is 5p. So that's this right here. Which inequality is best represented by the graph? First of all, we're going to have to look for a negative slope. So that means, okay, all of them seem to qualify for negative slope. But then we need to also account for the fact that the y-intercept has to be 7. So if x equal to 0, y is 7. X equal to 0, y is 7. Okay? And then let's look for our slope. Actually, the easiest thing to do here is just to let's find the slope of this line. I'm just going to use this right here. So this is going to be negative 7 over 4 is going to be our slope. So we can, you can try all this, or you could just find which of them has a slope of negative 7 over 4. So that means that you're going to end up with 4y on this side, and then you're going to end up with 7x somewhere. So it's going to be 4y, because you have to get negative 7 over 4, it's going to be 4y. And because it's a broken line, you cannot have less than equal to, it has to be just less than. Which situation best shows causation? The length of a rectangle affects the width of the rectangle. Not necessarily. The amount of time a cell phone is used affects the charge of its battery. That is very true. So that is one we can narrow down. The number of ice cream bars sold affects the number of milkshakes sold. No relationship there. There's no causation there. The number of soccer balls a team owns affects the number of games the team wins during the soccer season. Not necessarily. So B is the best answer here. Which expression is equivalent to that? So we can just simply factor this. So let's factor it. We're going to end up with, let's move 16. Let's move it over here. So we have w squared plus 24w plus 144. If I look at this, I'm just going to have w plus 12, w plus 12. And then we're going to divide everything by 16. 16 divided by 16. So this is 3 over 4. So this is going to be 4w plus 3 squared. So let me just run through that again. So I'm sliding it over so I can create a quadratic expression where the quadratic term has a coefficient of 1. So once we get that, we have w squared plus 24w plus 144. The factors of 144 that give you 24 will be 12 and 12. So once you finish with that, then you divide the constant terms by 16, and that's going to give you w plus 3 over 4 squared. So now you're going to move this 4 right over here. So you're going to have 4w plus 3 squared. Which graph best represents a function with a domain of all real numbers less than or equal to 6? All real numbers less than or equal to 6. So what you're going to have here is your domain is all real numbers less than or equal to 6, which means that it's pointing towards infinity on the negative side. So your arrow should point towards the left, and then for your 6 is your largest value. So I'm looking for an arrow pointing towards the left and also has another endpoint at 6, where at the point where x equal to 6. So this is not going to be good. So this is our best answer right here. So a quadratic function h can be used to model the height in feet of a rocket from the ground t seconds after it was launched. The graph of the function is shown. What is the maximum value of the graph of this function? The maximum value is going to be right about here. Right about here is the maximum value, because at that point, if you notice, the graph is increasing. It gets to that point and it starts to go down. So that's the maximum value we'd ever have. So let's see, what is the maximum value? The maximum value is going to be the y value. So we're looking at 225. Which expression is equivalent to this right here? So let's go ahead and simplify this. 15, a to the power of 0 is 1, so we cross that out. Then we have b squared c to the power of 34 multiplied by 3a to the power of 16, b to the power of negative 29, and then c is 1, so we cross that off. So now let's go ahead and simplify. So 15b multiplied by 3, so that's going to be 45. 15 multiplied by 3 is 45. B squared multiplied by, so this is going to be b squared multiplied by b to the power of negative 29, so it's 2 minus 29. And then we have c to the power of 34. And then we have a to the power of 16. So when you have b 2 minus 29 rather, so this is going to be 45, b to the power of negative 27, c to the power of 34, a to the power of 16. When we look at this, b to the power of negative 27 is divided by b to the power of 27. So this is 45, a 16, c 34 divided by b 27. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's 45. Number 36. A contractor's total earnings from a job includes a fixed amount plus an amount based on the number of hours worked. The values in the table represent the linear relationship between number of hours worked and the contractor's total earnings in dollars. So number of hours worked is 0, so total earnings is 20. What is the rate of change of the contractor's total earnings in dollars with respect to? Okay, so that's simple enough. Rate of change, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But I wouldn't use 0 actually. I would pick I'll probably use, let me see, let me use this one right here. 326.25 and 151.25. So what am I asking here? Rate of change. Rate is going to be 326.25 minus 151.25. 0057. So this is 175. And we have 35 here. We have 15. That is 20. So 175 divided by 20, so it's about 8.75. What is the solution set for? So let's go with 2x squared plus 11x plus 15 equal to 0. So we're going to go ahead and move this 2 over here. So we end up with x squared plus 11x plus 30 equal to 0. So I can see here this is probably 6 and 5. So x plus 6, x plus 5 equal to 0. We divide by 2 here. So x plus 3, x plus 5 over 2 equal to 0. So we have x equal to negative 3, x equal to negative 5 over 2, or negative 2.5. The table represents some points on the graph of an exponential function. Which function represents this relationship? X equal to 2, f of x equal to 36. So if I look at this, just looking at the answers, I would most likely say you have such a steep increase. X equal to 3. So what we're going to do here is kind of like, because it is exponential, we're going to look at it like a geometric sequence. So 81 divided by 54, that is 3 over 2. 54 divided by 36 is 3 over 2. Okay, so we have 3 over 2. And then now, what we know here is that for us to get to 1, we're going to also divide this by 3 over 2. So that's going to most likely give us 24. And then you divide 24 by 3 over 2, which is going to give you 16. So this is going to be 16 multiplied by 3 over 2 to the power of x. Number 39. Which statement best represents the equation of the line shown on the grid? So this one here is, because it's a horizontal line, is parallel to the x-axis. It's just going to be something like y equal to 2.5. It's y equal to 2.5 and the line is parallel to the x-axis. That's correct right there. Which expression is equivalent to 9n squared minus 25. This is the difference of two squares. We have a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So this is going to be the square root of 9n squared is 3n. The square root of 25 is 5. So let's do this here. 3n also. 5. This is plus minus. That's that. Number 41. The linear function t has an x-intercept of -1 and a y-intercept of 5. So x-intercept of -1, y-intercept of 5. That's what we're looking for right here. The value of y is directly proportional to the value of x. So y equal to kx. Therefore, k is y over x. When x is 3.5, the value of y is 14. So k is 14 divided by 3.5, which is 4. So therefore, y equal to 4x. What is the value of y when x is 28? Y is 4 multiplied by 28, which is 112. A quadratic function is graphed on the grid. Which answer choice best represents the domain and the range of the function? So your domain is all real numbers, because if you look at the values we look at the arrows there, they continue to go in both directions of the x-axis. So your domain is going to be all real numbers. Your range, though, has a minimum value of 5 and goes on till infinity. So you should have range y greater than or equal to 5 and x, which is your domain, all real numbers. 44. The table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. So, which function represents f? Let's start off by getting the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1, so 0 minus -130, divided by x2 minus x1, 2 minus -3. So this is 130 over 5, which is 26. So I have just one with 26. I'm going to go for that answer. Which expression is equivalent to x squared plus 10x plus 24? So let's go ahead and factor. What are the factors of 24 that have a sum of 10? Most likely will be 6 and 4. So this is going to be x plus 6 multiplied by x plus 4. Number 46. Y is less than 3 over 4x minus 4. So we're going to just cross out the ones. This is less than equal to, so we're going to cross out dotted lines. And whenever you have less than equal to, is going to be the region below the line. This is linear, so region below the line. Number 47, the scatter plot and table show the weekly profit in dollars earned from the sale of pastries at 7 different prices. The data can be modeled using a quadratic function. Which function models the data? So what we're going to do here is we're going to always look for this. First of all, you can put this in your calculator. Your calculator will probably do this a lot faster using your scientific calculator. But then we have to account for the fact that the graph looks something like that. So that means that it's going to be a negative x squared, or the coefficient of the quadratic term is negative. So this is gone. And then what is our y-intercept? Our y-intercept. So that's the only thing that is left for us to figure out, the y-intercept. So with this quadratic function here, like I said earlier, if you put all of this in the all these points in the calculator, you'll most likely get the right answer. You will definitely get the right answer if you enter it properly. And for you to get the right answer here, this will be the best answer that the calculator will give you. This answer here, even without the calculator, what this is telling you, if we factor this out, it's going to be something like negative 60.4, and then you have x squared plus 5 or something like that, which probably will not work because you cannot have this type of thing here, because you cannot factor this. Since you can't factor it, it just will not work, because at some point you're going to have intercepts, which you cannot have an x-intercept with this. You can have an x-intercept with b. It's going to be your best choice. Which expression is equivalent to this? So I'm going to factor out 7. Then this is 5m squared minus 9. Number 49. A part of exponential function f is drawn on the grid. Which inequality best represents the domain? Okay, so your domain is going to be from -2. Look at this right here. It's an open circle, which means that -2 is not actually one of the values on the domain, and it goes all the way to infinity. So it's going to be mostly x greater than -2, which is right here. What is the value of y in the solution? What is the value of y in the solution to this system of equations? So how do we go about that? We're going to go ahead and replace every instance. We already have x equal to -2y plus 9. We're going to replace x with that value in the first one. So 6y plus -2y plus 9 equal to 59. I'll say -59. So 6y minus 2y plus 9 equal to -59. 6y minus 2y. Okay, so we have 4y plus 9 equals to -59. So let's subtract 9. So 4y equal to -68. We divide by 4, divide by 4, y equal to -17. Right there. Number 51. The graph models the linear relationship between the number of monthly payments made on a loan and the remaining balance in dollars left to pay on the loan. Okay. Which statement best describes the x-intercept of the graph? So your x-intercept generally is going to be the point at which there is no balance left to be paid on that loan. So your x-intercept is okay, the x-intercept is 60, which represents the number of monthly payments needed to repay the loan. That's the right here. It's 60 because at this point your loan is at, your remaining balance is 0. So after 60 monthly payments, there will be no balance owed on that loan. 52. The graph of f of x equal to x squared is translated 4 units to the left. To create the graph of function g, which function represents g? So if it's translated 4.5 units to the left, when it's going on the x-axis, it tends to behave the opposite. So it's going to be x plus 4.5 squared. Even though translating to the left will becoming more negative, but because it's happening on the horizontal axis, it tends to behave in the opposite way. So this is what that is going to be. Okay, 53. This is a very interesting question. What I like to do first is I like to find the y-intercept. So y equal to 5, 1 over 3 to the power of 0, which is 5. But then I want to figure out, so let's see, this is gone, this is gone. So we need to figure out the right direction. So if I look at 1 over 3 to the power of 2, 1 over 3 to the power of 2 is going to be 1 over 9. 5 multiplied by 1 over 9 is 5 over 9. So what it's showing me here is that after it gets to 5, it starts to decline. But here, if I see what's happening at 5, it starts to increase, which is not true. So D is your best choice. What is the solution to this equation? So like we did earlier, we're going to PEMDAS this and distribute. So negative 8m plus 28 equal to 156 minus 12m. So let's go ahead and add 12m to both sides. So you have 4m plus 28 equal to 156. So we're going to subtract 28. So 4m is equal to 128. You divide both sides by 4. M is equal to 32, which is this option right here. So this concludes the walkthrough of the Algebra 1 STAAR test from the 2020 to 2021 school year in the state of Texas.